Our topic is for September. It's the wonder of work. And for this week, it's creating a life divine. So there are two words that stand out to me in all of this, the key words of wonder and work. So today we're just going to kind of explore those ideas and others. Um, I don't have any PowerPoints, nothing to read. I'm doing this my usual old fashioned way. I have my notes, and I just invite you to make this your own time, which it is. So get something to drink or whatever, sit back, relax, listen if you want to, and kind of just let yourself settle into this space. Part of the way that we create or that our soul works is to be sort of engaged, not completely engaged like we are when we drive. So we're aware of ideas or objects that come into our view, but we're not really focused intently on something. So I would like this time to be like that. And I'm missing the interaction with people because that's something I really love. So in the fellowship time afterward, I'd love for us to share some ideas and hear your experiences. We're going to do a little meditative kind of in the middle. So first, the word wonder. And I loved the quote from Socrates that says, wonder is the beginning of wisdom, to just wonder. And then work, we start with just the foundation of truth, that you're a work of art, God's work of art. So that work is done. And our work is to embrace the fullness of that. Let us teach us, direct us, and let us experience the idea that God had in mind of you even before you had a body. And so it's an exploration, it's a discovery. Oftentimes, we spend a lot of time and effort looking for formulas for teachers, for books, for conferences, something that will give us the formula for creating a life divine. And what we come to most often after much time and expense is that there is no formula. There is none. It has to be done from the inside. But the value in all of our searching in the books, the teachers, all of our investments is that each has some grain of truth, some message, some even word that resonates with us. And that is the material for our own un- unfolding the divinity, the creative activity within us. And as with any creative endeavor, you can't do that without a strong foundation. A musician doesn't learn to play well and without a lot of screeching if you have a violin and strange noises at the beginning. So only in mastery does the freedom show forth to improvise and really create with the universe a life that we would like. So you think of every endeavor, whether it's cooking or building, math, gardening, music, the foundation is a foundation of discipline, of rules, of techniques. And the foundation for creating a life divine is your study, my study in the science of mind. It's the foundation Ernest Holmes lays about understanding who we are, the nature of the universe, how it works, and having the benefit of Reverend Elzia, your practitioners, the community, to have people to learn with and grow with. Because only from a strong foundation, strong roots, did plants bear fruit. So, a good part of our creating the life divine is in becoming really skilled and grounded in the basics. And I always remember what Yoda had said, there is no trying, there's just do or don't do. And so we relax into our learning, the fact that we're evolving. A musician who is just beginning to play the trumpet doesn't sound anything like that musician will with mastery and with the free form flowing. But still, that musician is not trying, that musician is doing. So we always, as one of the four agreements reminds us, we always do our best. Sometimes it's better than others, but as long as it's our best, that's good enough. So the first point is having to have a good foundation. And I love the quote of Parker Palmer because now we move more into how this creating really takes place. It's the work of the soul. And as Parker Palmer said, before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I must listen to my life telling me who I am. And from that, from knowing who I am, then everything starts to coalesce around that. And again, it's the wonder, it's the curiosity. And as Rumi said, there's a voice that doesn't use words, and that is the language of our soul. So the ultimate purpose, I believe, of life is to express this divine idea that you are in the mind of God, I am in the mind of God, and express it with my own free will, my own choices, but always knowing that what I am doing is bringing about my own experience of the divine life that God has already created, or spirit, if you prefer. Sometimes I like the term the absolute that's used often in Hebrew as the Ein Sof, which means that is above thinking and that is above being. So, however you want to refer to that power in the universe that is solid, that is here, that is present, but accessible only by our desire to know it. And so we just work from that point. The language of the soul, or our soul, is often called our Christ consciousness, is within us. If I had done drawing, and you can do it in your mind, the teaching symbol of the science of mind kind of incorporates all of that. So if you're in your imagination, you can just draw a circle and then just break it into three parts. The top being spirit, which is the creative part, God. The next division being soul, which is the creative medium, and the last being the body or effect. And then the V that dissects it is spirit, wisdom coming down into expression in human life and then returning. And so in that, what we know is that spirit is the cause of all being, all good. The soul is the creative part of us. It's not creative on its own, for it has no will of its own. Its will is to express the idea, the cause that God has placed there as you, as me. And the body, the effect, is the outpicturing of that. So our soul does have a language of its own. It works in awe and wonder a lot. And so to take time to just be in contact with that within yourself is really just, first of all, a time that you give yourself to just wander freely, doing whatever it is you do that you can lose yourself in and not be thinking. And then later, it becomes a more active asking to be shown, to be aware of things, but it's first developing that relationship. So the soul's language speaks in memories, it speaks in moments that you might have when your mind is just free, just a glimpse, a scene, a moment a memory, one time in your life. And it speaks in music or in the words. It speaks in seeing people. Like I love seeing old couples still holding hands and laughing. And that's the soul speaking. It speaks in kindness. That's why the Dalai Lama says kindness is his religion. And its creative ability is it creates synchronicities, coincidences. It leads you to whatever material, reading material that you want to have, pulls it off the shelf for you. It catches your attention when there's part of a song or part of something that you've never seen before that all of a sudden resonates with you. So that is its impulse. So it's not a process of learning, but more of remembering. So if you think about being in contact with that, what Parker Palmer says, before you know what to do with your life, to know who you are, let's just take a couple moments, a few moments, and do kind of a practice of working with your soul. And so just relax, let your mind just be free. And as thoughts come into your mind, just notice them as leaves gently falling from the trees, landing in the current of a gentle stream. They just float away. And so just let your mind settle into its resting place, its receptive place. And in that open space, bring to your awareness some memory back as early as childhood. Maybe it's a scene where you see yourself, an experience around you. It's a time when you feel completely independent of everything around you. Maybe playing in the sand, maybe playing with figures, maybe just sitting and watching insects crawl. Whatever time that is that you feel just completely both independent and at one with yourself. Another way you might get at that is to ask yourself the question, what would you never be without? If you described yourself or someone describes you, they would say, you are never without whatever. And just notice what that is. That was a short time. You can always do that again later. But I do that with myself. What I've always known about myself is that I can never be without a book. I get anxious if I don't have one. And I could never be without plants. A garden, even one plant. So I know those two things about myself that are who I am. And that's the idea for you to know just the things that make you feel truly who you are and that you really would feel anxious without them. I guess that's the way I would say. So curiosity becomes the teacher. curious about, what about those two things? What about books and gardening? You don't, I don't leap to the idea of could I make a living doing that? That's not the point. What is it that I can never be without with those things? And that is the language of soul. And if you think about it, what set you on this path of discovery? What brought you to CSL Denver? What grounds you in Ernest Holmes' teachings? And in that, what we recognize is the work of the soul. It is creative. It's what's always nudging you to the next thing, the next idea. So, however you came onto this path and to CSL, you were nudged there by your soul, by that inner light. So, what it's always telling you is that you have gifts to share, and that knowing those gifts brings you further and further along the path of manifesting them as the life you desire. So, in the soul's language, there is an idiom that's absolutely true. What is large is small, and what is small is large. So, the problems of the day, trying to figure out things, where we're going to work, how we're going to pay the rent, what to do about, the kids or the parents, is large in how we allow it to occupy our attention, but it's small in the idea of who you are. And what is small is large. The kindness of someone, the person who shows you how to do something, the person who brings you a flower, food, whatever, an acknowledgement of your presence, your existence, that you make a difference. Those things are large. And so that's where our soul works. So it's always the experience of serving and being served. So whatever your vocation is, what you choose to do is work, it's always an element of service. If it's the clerk at the grocery store is helping you to have food to bring home, or ingredients to bring home and turn into meals. And that person, in serving you, is served when we're gracious and thankful, truly thankful, not in a passing thank you way, that that person has chosen that way to be in this world. And so, whatever we do, we're in that same position. So, actually, the whole process of creating a life divine is just being on that journey and allowing the curiosity and the wonder to just carry you where it needs to be. So, I'll finish with quickly, getting told I take too long, kind of how things work. So I've always known that I love books and gardening. And from that, you might conclude that I might be sort of like a hermit, but I'm not at all. So when I look deeper, as you will, the ideas that came to you, I see everything I read is about people, is about places, all different kinds of people, their interactions. And the stories are a way of entering their life. And gardening is always about planting things, seeing them grow, seeds. And so, as that's carried through, as your soul works through to what I do now, I always say, which I know is me, I'm a guide and not a teacher. And you probably realize that by my time, lack of time management. Tim's helping me, no props, because I always trust in Emma Curtis Hopkins' wisdom that you only know what you teach yourself. And so to be a science of mind minister is really not helpful to people, to not be a good teacher. So what you learn in your evolution is I've learned to say what I'm not good at, be surrounded by people who are good at it, and be grateful for their gifts. And in that way, we develop our collaborative life. And I never get confused that I'm a teacher, because you would say I'm not a good one, which I'm not. They're well structured, organized, and I'm so grateful that I have the foundation I do from good teachers. But I'm a guide to help you access your own inner wisdom. And that's what I love to do because it's like seeing plants grow. So I have used more time than we're supposed to use, but I would just encourage you to just live in wonder and in curiosity. And remember that you are already a work of art, and how you choose to express that in the world, you're led to activity by activity, idea by idea, and always it is already an accomplished fact. So, with that, we'll just take time in prayer and know that it is such a gift to be alive, to be the manifestation of God's love, to know that we are a divine idea coming into expression, and especially in a time when this world so much needs everyone to be the best version of who each person is. So we know that everything in the universe conspires to support us, to guide us, to fulfill our sense of ourself. For in that there is the true joy of living. And as we acknowledge that God can only appear, express in the human world through human beings. So acknowledging that each person, each being is an investment the universe has made in its growth, in its wholeness, and its fulfillment. And so it is with joy and wonder that we give thanks, that we, each of us, is both blessed and a blessing. And in that, we extend our heartfelt compassion, courage, gratitude, and encouragement to every being throughout the world, and know that every prayer creates a ripple of energy that joins with others, and so that we truly do create and live in a world that works for everyone. And with that, we just give thanks for our time together and move forward into a time when we might share in discussion. And so would you say with me, and so it is, and so it is.